Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been quite a very long time since I've made any videos. I was planning this video eventually and finally I got some time and I'm pulling it and I'm making it right now. Sorry for this gamer come online streamer setup. The reason is today it's 19th of November 2023, Sunday, the day before I went to an outdoor location which is near my friend's studio, RE Studios. So over there we managed to shoot some footages with talking near a lake with a good landscape, but the problem was it's November, December, which is the monsoon season month for here in Chennai, and there was a lot of disruption in wind noises while I was talking. The audio wasn't clear. I wanted to make sure that the audio should be clear of what I'm trying to convey to people without any disturbances. So that's why I'm doing it in this mode, and we managed to shoot some montage shots and some b-rolls here and there a little bit. That I will be merging along with this talking video alongside which you're watching. Right. You got the title right. It's the major maintenance come repair expenses that I've made on my 5-year-old Royal Enfield Thunderbird 500. It's a BS4 variant. It's gonna clock almost 20,000 kilometers. I know this isn't much, even if you calculate the average kilometers done for per year, it won't come much. Royal Enfield motorcycles in general, they do dig up some maintenance, the regular wear and tear like oil filter, the cables, and then the other consumables, right? Those happen not only for Royal Enfield, for any vehicles for that matter. But the reason why I am making this video and showing this to you people is because you can be aware of what's the cost and what's the amount of duration which might have taken for replacing all these important performance related spare parts. I find them quite significant, so that's why I am making this video and I feel it's worth sharing over YouTube here. So yeah, warning before we start, there's going to be a lot of talking, there's going to be some detailing in this video. So if you're that person who loves details, who loves to know more about these kind of Royal Enfield vehicles, so yeah, stick around till the end of this video. Let's jump in. Okay, the first major area of repair that I was forced to do was the exhaust of the vehicle. Yeah, it's the one you're seeing here is the stock silencer of the Thunderbird 500. It's a BS4 silencer, by the way. Now this being a standard variant, I got the entire silencer in chrome. If you were to own a 500X, you will be getting it in powder coated black. Now, a quick backstory of why I had to replace this is because my dad had went for a short trip down south, and while on his way back, like around 40 kilometers away from my home, it was in the evening, 6:37. It was kind of dark in the highways, and he had stopped there for a chai. He had parked the vehicle. Out of nowhere, a speeding car wanted to overtake a container lorry. He overtook that container from the left. In India, if you're trying to overtake big vehicles, it's always advisable to do it from the side of the driver, which is the right side driving we Indian four-wheelers have. So it's good if he might have taken an overtake from right. He decided to take it from the left. It was almost the corner of the road. My bike was parked. He rammed onto my silencer, and the silencer end can has just bent. Yeah, you'll be seeing the pictures here. This needed a serious replacement because I didn't want to have anything bent or damaged or dented on my vehicle. So the next day morning, yeah, I had to go because it was already dark. It was more of a hit and run case, and I decided to claim it via insurance. I had went to the authorized service center, and then at the initial inspection, the service personnel had told me, like, I had asked him what would be the cost of the exhaust. He told me like it would be just like 4,000 to 5,000 bucks, but he wasn't aware that it was a 500. He was telling me the price for a 350cc silencer. And then, you know, these insurance accident related vehicles will be assigned to one particular service engineer at the service centers. They will follow up with the insurance agent and with the customer, that's me, in order to track what's the progress and what's the stage of the approval of the claim. During the service engineer had called me and informed that silencer costed 18,500 rupees. Can you imagine? Yeah, it's just like 4,000 to 5,000 bucks for a 350 and 18,500. That's what I had paid for a 500. This particular incident happened a year ago. I couldn't record it for some reason. Again, 18,500 a year ago. I am not sure that what would be it costing now, maybe 19 or maybe it could be even 20. So yeah, that was a huge worst bill that I was being hit, but thankfully, yeah, I got the insurance. So the insurance company had paid like 12,500 out of the 18,500 of the total amount, and the rest I had paid. And my bike had to stay in the service center for almost a month because, you know, the insurance process, claim, all these take time. The part is also to arrive from the factory, right? Because by the time when this accident had happened, The 500 cc's were discontinued, no longer in production. This could have been avoided if that car driver wouldn't have hit on my vehicle. So this was a very major expense which I had incurred. So finally the silencer was replaced, and then fast forwarding to a timeline 3 months ago from now, yes, the bike was performing good, but there was some evident rattle of the silencer and the bend pipe whenever we gave a throttle. Now, why I'm telling this is because once I got a chance to make my friend ride my motorcycle, and I was sitting on his motorcycle, and I got a chance to watch my own motorcycle from behind ridden by someone. At that time, I noted that for every time he was revving the bike, moving forward, the exhaust and the assembly was entirely rumbling. That was a little bit concerning for me, and I went to like a few service centers, but they weren't unable to identify the problem. And along with the jittering of the exhaust pipe and the silencer, there was a very nightmarish issue which I had faced on my vehicle, was the RPM instability. Yep, you know, like when we crank the engine, the RPM will be stable. For instance, on my bike it would be on 1, which is to 1000. But that wasn't the case. On my bike, generally, I wouldn't have always to blip the throttle and start the vehicle. I just had to put the self start, hit the button without blipping the throttle, and the bike would just easily start. Or if I had to kick start the vehicle without blipping the throttle, it would start automatically without any throttle input. But that wasn't the case. 3 months ago, I had to do that, and in spite of doing that, the RPM wouldn't be stable. It would be on 1500. Sometimes it would be going as high as 2500 RPM on neutral without any gear. I was also doing a ride back at that time, a small 200-kilometer ride again down south. At that time, I had noticed that the bike's RPM would be unstable, and if I'm in a good speed, reaching a speed breaker, I had to hold the clutch to slow down. The bike would just shut off then and there. And after crossing that speed breaker, I would just release the clutch and the bike would do a jump start and come back to ignition. So these problems were running, and the MIL was not glowing on the dashboard. That was the irony here, because if these kind of problems occur, there is something to do with the FI components, but the MIL didn't glow as if everything was normal. And the service centers weren't unable to identify my problem either. They were like tightening a screw near the throttle body for the RPM adjustment. They just didn't understand what was I trying to convey. So after some time, I got to figure out a local mechanic near my house. He's an expert in Enfields. So I mainly went there to figure out this jittering of the exhaust and the bend pipe. So he showed me that the main reason for this jitter is you would be seeing that there are two nuts on the beginning of the exhaust pipe. One nut which is on the top there, and the other one is on the bottom. The top nut is the stock nut which I got right from the beginning of the bike that I was having. But the bottom one which you're seeing here is not a stock nut. Now the reason for it is because behind the nut on the top head of the casing, there was a crack which is being developed. I guess it might have happened just because of the first incident, the speeding car which had banged on my bike's exhaust, right? So maybe my bike's cylinder would have taken that hit as an impact. I'm not sure like how did this happen, and now this also makes me to suspect the RE's metallurgy, what kind of quality are they providing to their engine services. But anyways, that is going too technical. Now this had to be solved, and this was the main reason for the assembly to jitter entirely, and after a certain amount of kilometers it would get loose. Tighten them, it would run, again it would get loose. So what he told me was I had to remove this cylinder kit, take it to Pudupet for welding, and after welding he had to re-groove where the bolt exactly sits inside. He just did it, and we had incurred a cost of like total of 3,500 rupees including labor and everything. The oil wasn't replaced at that time. That was sorted, and that was a major issue. Now if this were to be diagnosed at the service center, they would have definitely made me replace the top part of the cylinder kit. That wasn't necessary either, because there was nothing wrong from inside, just the outside had developed a small crack where the bolt was exactly sitting in. Welding is a good and a cheap solution. It's a perfect jugaad, by the way. Okay, now regarding the RPM instability issue, that was also solved, but I didn't even inform my mechanic anything of that sort. The main target was to fix the jittering of the exhaust pipe and the silencer. As I told, the top part of the cylinder kit was taken to Pudupet, and the welding was done near the bend vent pipe opening. The bike was fit and everything had come, but right at the crank of the engine, I had not to blip the throttle and the RPM was perfectly stable. Yes, that was sorted. Now the reason why it might have got sorted is because I got to watch a YouTuber's video. He's a mechanic in northern part of India. That gentleman who owns the channel called NCR Motorcycles. It's quite a popular channel. I'd like to just give them a small shout out. I'll leave the link in the description for that video too. Now in that video he demonstrated that an Interceptor 650 had the same RPM instability issue. But luckily that motorcycle was prompting through the MIL indicator that there's something wrong with the temperature sensor, but nothing of that sort was glowing on my motorcycle. My MIL would shut off once the engine is on. It was like perfectly fine. But after watching that video, I got a know-how that even for people who are watching, I'd like to tell that if your bike is fuel injector and you're experiencing any RPM instability issues, there are high chances that there is something wrong with the temperature sensor, so get that checked. That's the other bad part here in regard to the service centers. They don't have the know-how and they are not in a position to understand what we are trying to tell. So these kind of small tips and know-how for these kind of minute areas will help us to understand our motorcycles better and help us fix the issues. So yeah, this is one more thing, and all the sensors are working fine, nothing was replaced. So it's good to have sometimes a WD-40 just sprayed in couplers, so which would make the couplers and the other wirings function better. So if you made it till here, it's almost 12 minutes in this video, and I would like to conclude this as a part 1 at least for now, because I don't want to spam you all with too many details. There are still more other works to be covered. That'll come as a separate video soon. The links will be updated in the description. That's it for part 1. See you all soon in part 2. Take care.